All right, Giants Nation. Welcome to the Shit That New York Giants Fans Say, Episode 9. So, Jalen Hyatt, like some of the fans, is excited for the season to start. They're still doing OTAs, so it's very early. He's young, so he says that the New York Giants are a playoff team. And of course, there are a lot of fans that are pessimistic because, hey, I think Vegas has us winning 6 games, which is okay. I mean, you got to consider what happened last year, that we might not be able to do a complete 180 and that we might be in the same position we were last season where something goes wrong and you only win 6 games minimum, right? However, I feel like some of you Giants fans are still bitter that we did not draft JJ McCarthy. And so, it was always going to be this angle of, okay, great, our wide receivers are excited, but they have no quarterback to throw to them. I think you guys overrate this no quarterback thing because I get it. We do want to have a better quarterback, but I've seen some quarterbacks that aren't necessarily good. I don't think Baker Mayfield's that good. I just feel like, Tampa is a better team than the Giants. So I don't really understand this like doom thing with, oh, we had no quarterback. I think your biggest issue last year, if you're being honest, was not the quarterback. You can literally say, oh, well, Daniel Jones is the biggest issue because we paid him money. That's all it was. It was you paid Daniel Jones. It didn't work out. He couldn't overcome a bad offensive line because he's Daniel Jones from Duke. And I get it. Daniel Jones has been in the league for 6 years, but it will never wash away the stench of drafting a quarterback from Duke. The only way you can do that is to have him magically play better behind a good offensive line, or at least average offensive line, because he's not going to do anything behind an abysmal offensive line because he's Daniel Jones. He's not Eli Manning. He's not Eli Manning. And that's something we forget sometimes. But this argument is the same argument as drafting JJ McCarthy. Then you would turn around and you would say, but we have no receivers to throw to. We drafted JJ McCarthy, but we had no receivers to throw to, and he won't start probably because Daniel Jones still on the roster. So for you bitter guys out there that was crying about quarterbacks, again, go watch my video on where I told you what we should have done if you really wanted a quarterback. I've made maybe 2 or 3 of those videos where, you just get rid of Saquon Barkley. You lose out like, smart teams do. So usually I don't put YouTube content creator content in this segment, but this is not the first time I've seen this. I'm glad Fisk spoke about this. I have nothing negative to say about Fisk. He's entitled to his own opinion. I think right now on his arc, he's anti-Daniel Jones in a sense. And it's not that he's Tim. If you are a Giants fan that follows a bunch of YouTube content creators, you know who Tim is. It's not that he's now Tim and he hates Daniel Jones, but you can't not put pressure on Daniel Jones coming into the season. So I wouldn't want anybody to be super optimistic about Daniel Jones. So I get the whole anti-Daniel Jones angle, but nothing against Fisk, but this whole career killing thing with Daniel Jones isn't really a thing. Because if you think about it, a lot of the issues that the players have are actually with the Giants. Like even when you look at Golden Tate and Galladay, if you can actually go back and read articles about those players and what they were complaining about, they weren't complaining about the quarterback. Were they mad at Daniel Jones at some point? Probably, but a lot of their complaints were with the organization and with the coaching staff, which I was shocked to watch a video from a third party who isn't a Giants fan. They explained everything that went wrong with the Giants, and at no point did they say Daniel Jones was the reason. I was shocked because that's like a very easy out, is to just say, well, the quarterback's not that good. And of course he was mentioned, but he was not one of the main reasons why the New York Giants were bad over the last few years. And I think with a lot of Giants fans who are lazy, that's the excuse. It's not that the organization has made bad decisions. And you could argue that, signing him was one of the bad decisions that the organization made. I don't know why people act like Daniel Jones is the one that drafted himself. Daniel Jones is the one that signed himself. Like the biggest issue with the New York Giants, dating back before even Daniel Jones, has always been the Giants. It's still the Giants. I'm sorry to tell you guys that. Because if Daniel Jones has a really good season this year, they're not going to cut him in March. Like I would not be surprised if he has like a good season. They're just like, oh, we'll roll with him again, because I looked at the contract situation and I'm like, it's not impossible for them to keep him for another 2 seasons. I don't know. The Giants seem to have their own plan, but again, You might not like Daniel Jones, but your bigger issue is management. And I almost forgot ownership. So you've got ownership, you've got influences like Eli Manning, who seems to be a big fan of Daniel Jones. And so those are the things that we don't consider, when we're upset with Daniel Jones and we're calling him a career killer. It's like, hey, who drafted this guy? Who's keeping this guy employed still, right? Most people are saying that if we're going to let him go, he might not go to another team or he might be a backup, but he's a starter because ownership wants him to be a starter. It's not just management, because remember, we changed management. When we changed management over to Joe, a lot of you guys were talking shit. You guys were saying that we were not going to sign Daniel Jones because we got new management. And what did we do? We re-signed Daniel Jones. So that's something you guys need to think about. If you want to hate somebody, you need to start at ownership, then work your way down to management, and then Daniel Jones. I don't understand this obsession with Daniel Jones. I understand the quarterback is a very vital piece of the team. But when you've got so many other issues, it's like, you wish you were the 49ers, where you say, oh man, this team is perfect, but Daniel Jones is like the only thing holding us back. But that's not the issue here. We've got a whole bunch of other issues, and it's not because of Daniel Jones. It's because of the New York Giants. And a lot of people don't get that. But when it comes to being a career killer, obviously, if you have a better quarterback, yes, you're going to play much better as a wide receiver or as a tight end. But because the Giants are bad, I don't know how much better some of these players would have been, because you've got a bad offensive line. That affects Daniel Jones, but it also affects the other players. That's what you guys don't consider. You guys actually don't consider the offensive line. You guys are tired of blaming the offensive line because you have now gotten fatigued because you realize that the New York Giants somehow can't figure it out. So you're like, oh, well, it must be the quarterback because he's been here the longest, but we've always had offensive line problems. Why can't we ever have like a top offensive line? I mean, I get it. You would think if you get a new super talented quarterback that it will eventually happen, but it should have happened already. I think we've probably had one or two decent seasons for the offensive line. Was it 2019 and 2022? Those are the only times when the offensive line probably went in the top 20. That's not good. So there's so much going on with the Giants, but to say he's a career killer, I don't think so. I don't think he's a career killer. I just think he's Daniel Jones. Like, I don't know what you guys expect when you draft a quarterback from Duke. Like, I'm with Shady here. Out of the two like famous Daniel Jones haters between James Jones and Shady, I think Shady like tells the truth in terms of, football players are probably also confused as to how the Giants drafted a quarterback from Duke and made him the franchise quarterback, because he's been here so damn long. And I get it. There's been a whole bunch of other shit that's going on, with the Giants as to why they're probably looking past the fact that, yes, he's not generational talent. But I will say, as the first take, the Trevor Lawrence does not look that great. And y'all are making an excuse. Oh, Urban Meyer, he still doesn't look good. I'm in Florida, and sometimes I'll watch the Jaguars game, and some of the throws that he throws, they just like, they go to no one. Like, I don't understand the obsession with Trevor Lawrence, and I can see why they have the comparison between Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence, and that should not be a thing for somebody who's in a different caliber of quarterbacks. Like, they're not the same, but why is that even a joke? Like, that shouldn't even exist. But it's because Trevor Lawrence is not good as people think. He's good, but he's overrated. So recently, the Eagles coach, Nick Crybaby or whatever his name is. The Eagles fans, y'all got Saquon Barkley. That's great, right? He's a good player. But y'all been crying because we're talking shit to you guys. Like, that's not something that we should do. We don't like you guys. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to keep saying that we don't like you. We don't like the Eagles. We don't like anything Philly. We don't associate with you dudes. We don't like you guys. And I'm sure the energy would work the same way. But I'm so glad that, a lot of Giants fans have been just, speaking the truth about the situation, and just in this scenario, bringing up, previous instances of you guys talking shit about getting Steve Smith. See, I wasn't checking in with Eagles fans back then, so I wouldn't even have cared if you guys were, oh, we got your best receiver. It wouldn't have mattered to me. I wasn't even aware that you guys were bragging about this, but that's pretty funny that there are Giants fans that remember that, and that you guys were bragging about getting Steve Smith, which is pretty funny, because, like, again, you just never know how these scenarios play out. Like, you paid a lot for Saquon Barkley, but you don't know if Saquon Barkley is going to play a bulk of those games that you are going to be paying him for. So just, understand that Teams are going to be mad if their best players go to their rival teams. This is a normal process. I don't even know why this bum ass coach had to come talk about Giants fans this, Giants fan this. We're doing what fans would do. We're going to talk shit. We're going to be upset. I don't know why this bum ass coach has to mention anything about Giants fans, but hey, I can't wait to see you guys lose this year and in future years too. It was great watching you guys lose in the Super Bowl. I mean, congrats on making it there, but you lost.
Stupid.